Yes, people, hope you're well. And what I'm going to be running through today is a common question I get asked all the time. How do we generate 500 creative assets per month per brand? And the answer is really, really simple. And I'm going to show you how we do that today. The short answer is with our team and the systems we've built out internally, because honestly, we've spent a lot of time kind of refining this and getting this to the point where it needs to be. But it works and it works really good. So I'm going to walk you through today. I create a little flow chart just to kind of help you understand it as best as you can. But nonetheless, we'll get straight into it, okay? So my team as a whole, there's 8 of us, including myself. It's a very lean, mean kind of department I've built out. And trust me, I have been through, over the past 3 or 4 years, probably six to seven different agencies. And the problem I have with agencies is, number one, if you're as good as you claim to be, why don't you do it yourself? I've always struggled to understand that. And number two, as a very niche kind of product, so if you're not kind of too sure in terms of what we do and who I am, my name's Joe Hume. I'm the founder here at The 100 Glove. We are a goalkeeper-specific brand. We operate in the football space for the Americans watching the soccer space. And as you can see by that, very niche, right? And to get people to really understand our product and what we do, it takes someone who has, first of all, a humongous passion for football and understands goalkeeping as a whole. So coming back to the point about agencies is, you know, I've really struggled to find an agency that really understands what we do. And that's obviously shown in the output. So over the years, as I said, I've tried and tested multiple different agencies and none of them have really worked out to how I expected. I'm not going to blame anyone or anything like that. But overnight, one day I woke up and I thought, you know what? Why don't I just do this myself? And that's exactly what we did. So who we have in our team is we have a creative manager, we have 2 researchers, we have 2 copywriters, and also 3 designers. So all in all, that's 8 if my maths is correct. So creative manager, that really is the lifeblood of the team. They kind of oversee everything from start to finish, making sure that everything is on point, not only for our brands and also our clients we've started to take on as well. So their responsibilities in terms of what that looks like. Number one, to oversee the entire creative process and ensure timely delivery of all assets. 2, they coordinate between researchers, designers and copywriters. So as I said, they kind of oversee the entire team. 3, review and approve all creative materials before the final production, making sure that, of course, they live up to our branding guidelines. 4, they manage our workload and resources to optimize productivity and efficiency. Of course, that's very important. And 5, ensure all assets align with the overall marketing strategy and the goals. Okay, so it's a very kind of specific framework we need to follow because, you know, at the end of the day, as a brand, all we care about is conversions. I don't care about hook rates. I don't care about click-through rate. I don't care about any of that. I care about the end result. And if you're a brand and you don't care about that, then you need help. You've been listening to the wrong people. I'm telling you that firsthand. Okay, so that's the creative manager. Again, who's really important to us is our researchers. Now, creatives, you probably would think that most of our time is spent in Photoshop designing the assets. You couldn't be further from the truth. Probably 98% of our time is in researching. Okay, if the researchers, we didn't have them, we probably wouldn't exist. There's only so much you can do, and so far you can take your creative assets. If you're ripping them from other brands and taking inspiration from other brands, it's never going to work. Most brands that you're going to see out there are probably running at a loss, right? Their creators aren't profitable. So if you're copying them, how's that ever going to work? So we'll always go away and do our own research and kind of get to the point where we need to. Number 1, we conduct market research to identify trends and insights. We gather data and information on our target audience and competitors. We provide research briefs and reports to inform the creative process. And they collaborate with designers and copywriters to ensure the content is relevant and up to date. Very important. Again, copywriters, what you need to realize is no role should really overlap. You're not going to get a designer doing all the copy. It's a completely different skill set to where you need to be. You're not going to get graphic designers doing research. They ain't going to have a fucking clue where to start. So you need dedicated people to every single role. Before our copywriters, of course, they write compelling and creative copy for different formats and platforms. For example, our ads on Meta, the tonality and in terms of what that looks like is completely different to TikTok because, of course, you know, we need creatives that are specific to each platform. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. So obviously we look at different platforms and all that fun stuff. They develop content that aligns with the research insights and design concepts. You collaborate with designers to integrate text and visual seamlessly. Edit and proofread content to ensure accuracy and quality. Okay. Do you see where this all intertwingles, right? Do you see where that's coming from? Because as I said, there's a collaboration that's happening at every single stage. If one is off and one isn't working, we're building on a shaky foundation and it will collapse somewhere down the line. We're pushing, 500 creators out every single month. If one thing is not living up to where it needs to be, then, the whole operation is going to be a sham and it's not going to work. Okay. So this is why every single stage is important. Design, this is the end product. And I always say to my designers, you probably have the easiest job in the world because you take from what other people have done and you kind of do what you need to do. But all the heavy lifting is done for you. You're just kind of doing the final piece of the puzzle. Think like a 400 meter relay. The work is done in the first 300 meters. It's not done in the final 100 meter stretch. Like, yeah, right. Of course, like you may get a team over the line, but if they're not pulling their weight before, you're fucked. Yeah. So we've had designers. They of course develop visual concepts and designs based on research data, create graphics, illustrations, and other visual elements that could look like they could be redesigning a product, so to say. They could be looking how to integrate different UVP different headlines, different copy, etc., etc. Work on layout design for various formats, as I said before. If they're doing something with, I don't know, After Effects, that's obviously moving. It's like a GIF, right? That's what we'll be designing. That's going to be very different to a static what we're designing in Photoshop. Yeah. And then, of course, they want to ensure consistency with brand guidelines and standard. As I said before, very easy what they do. But that is essentially in a nutshell what we have. There's 8 of us, all full-time. All my team are based in the UK and they're fucking killers. Yeah, it's taken me a long time to get them on board to where they need to be. But, I like to tell them it's worth the wait. Now, if this is not formatted correctly, it's going to be a mess and you're not going to get very far. As I said, we built out robust systems that need to be in place. So all of these, so my creative manager has, like an arsenal of tools they need to use. My researchers, my copywriters, my designers do as well. I'm going to walk you through exactly what that looks like. And as you can see here, we've got 12 different platforms, probably more. But these are the core components we have within the business itself and are really helpful in terms of what we're looking to do. So my researchers, of course, we've got Google. That's our bread and butter. You can find anything Googling. And I know trends may have changed with everything coming with AI. For the research, we don't use AI. We stick to Google. Our main platform, not only for my internal brands, the Goalkeeper Glove brand, but for clients who've started to take on too, Reddit. Forums are the best place, right? The best place you can get any insights from is going to be Reddit. Unbelievable. Researchers are not going to be worth their weight if they don't know how to read data as well. Especially if we've taken on a seasoned account. We need to know what's worked before. We need to know the stats from what's worked. We need to know everything what's happened before. So it paints that picture for us. We're not coming in and kind of reinventing the wheel and coming up with concepts from scratch. We're taking what works and making it better. It's plain and simple. So you could also, have in here, you can have your Snapchat, you can have your TikTok, you could have your Google. But just for the purpose of, the ease of use, we've just put one in there for you. But loads of tools you can kind of research in. I've put a guide on Twitter which is also a good platform to mention, about how to use Reddit effectively. Highly recommend you check that out. It's it's our bread and butter. It's our first go-to when we're looking for kind of insights for our creatives. 2, for our designers, the tools used. Of course, we've got After Effects. It's GIFs for us, or GIFs, however you want to fucking say it. They have been crushing it for us. And at the time of recording today, I actually put an example of what's doing really well for us. So we use After Effects. Also good for different video elements as well. So After Effects. Photoshop as well is always our go-to. It's, if you don't know Photoshop, then what can I say? But it is good. It does what it needs to do. And especially with the new, what's it called? Generative fill, that works wonders as well. So Photoshop, I don't like Canva. I feel like it, it's getting better, but has its limitations. I'm not the biggest fan of it. And I will say the same with Figma there as well. The reason I put Figma in here is when it comes to sharing different elements, we're checking things over. So of course we're always going to design first things first in Photoshop, but if I need my team, and when the team need to check on what's going on and what's happening from the designers, they will share it in Figma, just because to collaborate on that tool, it's nice and easy, it does what it needs to do. So Figma is used. I will never have like our final format on Figma itself, but as I said, it does what it needs to do. Copywriters, very plain and simple, and it's not something you need to overcomplicate it too much. Google, of course, that does what it says in the tin. I don't really need to go into that. Google Docs, everything goes through Google. It's our ecosystem. It's what our infrastructure is built around. So that's where the main writing goes on. Of course, AI tools, would be stupid not to utilize that. ChatGPT, of course, is a really good one. You've got Claude as well, which does a number. So yeah, we're not heavily reliant on this. We use that simply to kind of help us with inspiration, all of that fun stuff. AI is getting there, but for me personally, it's never going to override the human feel for someone who knows what they're doing, especially when it comes to like the more direct response principles. I don't think AI's really got that yet, but it's getting there. But we use it to kind of essentially for inspiration. So that's to bear in mind. I said before, everything for us goes through the Google ecosystem. Google Drive, everything goes in there from the final creatives. Of course, you've got the Google Docs, the research documents, and all of that fun stuff. When my project manager's writing briefs, it's a little bit, it may surprise some people. Everyone goes on about Notion and ClickUp and whatever it fucking may be. We use Trello. It is so fucking easy to navigate. You can create a board, you can put your items in, to do, working on, completed. For me, when I kind of overlook exactly what's going on and when, it tells me everything. And it's so simple. I don't need to click in between different pages. It's fucking great. It's free. You don't need to worry too much about that. And actually going along with all of this here, everything here is free, pretty much. Of course, you have your Adobe membership. I'm sure there's ways, you can set up a student account for like £10 a month. If you're doing this on a budget, just fucking do that. With AI, you could, the assets are more than good enough to do it on the free plans. Do you know what I'm saying? So nice and easy. Project management, the final thing is Slack. That's where we host everything. It's a lifeblood. All our communication goes on in there. And as I said, it does what it needs to do. We can communicate with different channels. We can all communicate with each other. Designers can communicate with each other as well. So, it's done. The stack is really simple. As I said, there's little to no cost in it. So, nice and simple. But we'll move on to now the overall flow in terms of what it looks like. Because, of course, I've given you a lot of data up here. But you need to know how to use those effectively. And it is very simple. And, of course, we can go into more in depth in terms of what this looks like. But don't really need to. Number one, we have our research phase. Okay, that's, the Reddit, the forums, the Google, all that fun stuff. We gather data, goes into a Google Sheet. Provide the brief, right? So my researchers provide it to either my, creative manager. They provide it to my designers, all of that fun stuff. And once it's in the hands of my creative manager, we brainstorm, right? We sit on a call for 2-3 hours every single week, every single Monday, and we go through for what needs to be done. From there, my creative manager, they brief my copywriters, my designers, right? And we get a draft copy in place. From there, we also, of course, we still check in. It all goes through my creative manager. So they check in with my creative manager, they review the drafts, and she provides feedback, right? Very simple. Do you see how I'm going with this? Reviews brief, brainstorm session. They go off in their fucking merry way. Check in, get delivered, and off we go. Right? If it's good, she'll tell them yes, fantastic, let's proceed. If not, she'll go, no, listen, this needs to be improved X, Y, Z. Yeah. From there, revisions are carried out by the designers and copywriters, and we get to a point. So everything gets done in 1 to 2 revisions, and it's really got fine and simple. If it doesn't, just keep iterating until you get to the point you need to be at. So once you've got that final copy, it gets approved. We produce the final asset and we distribute it to the channels. It's literally 3 to 4 steps, and it's so simple and so effective. You just need the right people, the right systems in the right places. So that is all it needs to be. I think a lot of people come, they slide in my DMs and they ask me how we do it. It's not complex. If you want to get it done, you will find a way to get it done. It's important you find the right people, and I probably will go into another video separately how you find these right people. My favorite place, I don't use Upwork. I don't use Fiverr. I don't use any platforms like that. A lot of people come to me through LinkedIn. Obviously, we're quite a renowned brand in the space, so they must see what's going on there, and they come to me via LinkedIn. I'm also a big fan of hiring straight out of uni. It's cheap. They're hungry. They want to learn. It's a no-brainer. And as someone myself, I'm not too far. The people coming out of uni now, they're not too much younger than me. I want to hire young. As bad as that fucking sounds, I want people who have something to prove, and I want to get their foot in the door somewhere. It's all it needs to be. As I said before, all my team are full-time. They're based in the UK, and they come to my office. And I probably could do it cheaper. I could probably do it overseas. But why would I want to do that when the system's working so well? So hopefully you found some value from this video. Enjoyed creating this. It's not my forte, creating flow diagrams and all that fun stuff, but it needs to be done. And I hope you find some value from this. But if you've got any questions, as always, let me know. And as I said, just leave me on a note. It's very simple. Please don't overthink it. This should give you more than enough then to what you need to start generating creatives at scale. Creative is the new targeting. The more you can do, the better. So yeah, get those numbers up, get those results up. And yeah, any questions, as I said, let me know down below and I can get back to you where I can. Cheers.